And now, back to the face that inspires your nightmares. Welcome back to Let's Play Demon Souls. Let's go on ahead and get some progress. Let's go to the Boletarian Palace. This is the first world, the first archstone, and the first level of the said first archstone, so... Okay, so this is pretty much like the first official level of the game. We're gonna get a nice little intro to this world. Just a moment here. So that was the red scale dragon. Looked like it was just coming home from a meal to go. Had a lot of peasants in its mouth. I actually thought that was what its mouth looked like at first, like it had this really weird looking jaw with like teeth jutting out or something. I don't know why I thought it looked like that, but yeah, it's actually just like that thing has a full meal going on right there in its mouth, so yeah. The dragons are actually kind of interesting. They're not really things that you fight so much as things that you sort of avoid, but they are... It is possible to kill them, and you do get a bit of a reward for doing so. You get a little extra souls. So, we're still on draglings right here, still fighting these guys. More common name, I guess, would be slave soldiers, but their official name is draglings. But yeah, they're pretty much just slave soldiers who are made to fight. They're really just cannon fodder thrown at you without much health, without much combat skill, and most of the time they're not really that big of a problem. The thing to take notice of here, though, is that since we are in soul form, we cannot take quite as many hits as we could in the tutorial level when we were in body form. So, this game is really all about being careful with that stuff, gauging your health, trying not to make mistakes, making as few mistakes as you possibly can in the process of fighting these guys. Just anybody in general, really. Ah, got me from behind. Oh, it might have been the third one. I didn't even notice that third one. Alrighty. I kind of wish I had a long sword, but curved swords are an interesting weapon type to use. They have their ups and downs and such. I do like some of the combos that you can do with them, and especially the recovery for the two-handed heavy. Or no, maybe that's not it. Maybe I was thinking of another attack. I don't know. There's this attack that you can do with curved swords where when you recover you sort of do this really crazy twisty attack, or not an attack but like recovery. You do this crazy move. I don't think we're gonna see it. At some point I'll notice it and point it out, but yeah. Not gonna spend a few minutes just to figure out what the right combo is. That's a pretty nice one. Slide the sword back into place. Swing! But yeah, so this is the sort of the outer wall of the castle. That's what I consider this area, is really the outer wall of the Boletarian Palace. We're going to be going up the left wall, going up onto the mid-level, coming all the way around and then back over that way, and it's a full circle kind of level. You really just sort of explore the entirety of it, and then you come back down and go fight the boss. So we actually start out pretty close to the boss, so once we unlock the way to him, we'll be able to, in the very rare event that we actually die against him, it's easy to try to fight him again, but I don't think we'll have to worry about that, because the first boss of this game, the first real boss that you have to defeat. The Phalanx, you're kind of supposed to die to. But, this first boss is really pretty easy. He can overwhelm you if you don't know the right way to go about fighting him, but honestly, he's a pretty simple boss, and especially with the items that we'll be gathering throughout just this one level, he shouldn't be a problem. I'll only say this, he's very weak to fire, or they are very weak to fire, so good thing to keep that in mind. Anyways, early on in the game, like right now, you do want to conserve your healing items. So in that way, it's nice if you have a starting class that starts out with some spells, like a healing spell. Temple Knight has that. I'm not sure, but I think the Mage might have that. I could be wrong on that one, so don't quote me on that. But I know that the Temple Knight has that one. And in our case, or in a Barbarian's case, since we're a Wanderer, we actually don't have spells to start out. See that top thing right there that's flashing? I'm pressing it trying to change spells, but we don't have any spells to change, so right now we can't cast anything, but that's where our spells will appear when we acquire them. Everybody can acquire spells, even Barbarians. You just have to level up your magic enough to that point to accomplish that task. What we got right there is the Mailbreaker. That'll be extremely useful in World 2, which is the Stonefang Mine, Stonefang Tunnel, I think it's called. But it's a piercing weapon, and it pierces through armor and defense pretty well. So, say if this guy were blocking us, it's a good weapon to use. In fact, just for the sake of showing off another weapon, I guess I can equip it. But yeah, basically, if you look at the moveset, it's all about stabbing. So yeah. Not quite a rapier, but it's a Mailbreaker. It breaks through chainmail and such. But yeah, there are various different kinds of damage in this game. There's blunt damage, there's slashing damage, like with the curved swords, and then there's stabbing damage, or piercing damage, which is what you use the Mailbreaker for, or any other weapon that satisfies that field of attack. Oh, and another interesting thing about the Mailbreaker is that you can actually use it while you're using your shield. Alright, I'm gonna go back and heal, because I'm getting very low on health. Just hope that guy behind us. Yeah, there's a guy above us. You can't see him, but he's throwing fire bottles at us. And he is able to get a few cheap shots off at us. But we will be backtracking a little bit to take him down. If I just look behind me, there he is. And he's just sitting there, being lazy, throwing fire bottles. Like a big sissy. So I'm gonna go on ahead and change back to the Falchion. I'm not a huge fan of the Mailbreaker. For the enemies that are weak to it, it's very nice, but yeah, anyways. That wasn't quite what I was having in mind. But whatever. That's another thing I don't quite like about curved blades, is that instead of doing a push, you just do this this double attack. And in its own respect, it's kind of nice, but the purpose of pressing forward and R1 is usually for a pushing attack, whereas with this one, it's sort of just a double slash. Which is nice, as I said, but with, say, a long sword, or even just a dagger, I'll put the Mailbreaker right here. Like, usually what it's... Usually what a push would be used for would be to push enemies back. I guess even the Mailbreaker is a little bit weird, because it looks like I just step back and point it towards the enemy as if I'm going to poke them with it as they run towards me. This is the first trap of the game. Well, not technically true. There was a trap back there. That was a pitfall. There was like this shining aura around it, which might entice people thinking there might be treasure down there. There's not. There's just a pit, and it kills you. But that's the first really devious one, where they're actively trying to murder you. Anyways, down there, since we broke those wooden planks, we could access that item. And what that item was the Bastard Sword. I don't think we have enough skill to use it. Yep. Basically, there are a few stats that determine your ability to use weapons. In particular, I think dexterity is a big one, and also strength. But since we're using a heavy weapon like the Bastard Sword, especially with one hand, its effectiveness in battle is considerably lessened. And that's to the point where we're only doing 2 damage to a normal soldier, whereas with the Falchion we'd be doing quite a lot more. It is a little bit weird considering you're still hitting this guy with a giant-ass sword, yet it's only doing 2 damage per hit. But, yeah. Never mind that. Oh, that's what a push is supposed to look like. Usually, at least with the weapons that I'm accustomed to, by pressing R1 and forward at the same time, kind of akin to how you do a smash attack in Brawl, it's expected to push an enemy back like this, and that's especially fun when you're just pushing them constantly until they fall off a cliff or something. Anyways, this is just using the weapon one-handed. Since I did say before you can use weapons two-handed as well as one-handed, using claymores like the Bastard Sword, it can actually do more damage and allow you to use an item even if you have an ability shortage. In this case, we're so weak using this weapon that we can't even we can't even really get much use out of it, even if we use it two-handed. But in some cases, if you wield it two-handed, you can get just enough dexterity to still be able to wield the weapon with some skill. Ugh! Lots of explaining stuff. I apologize for that. I'm gonna try and streamline this a little bit more. I feel like I'm standing there and trying to explain this stuff, and it's not the best idea. But anyways, yeah. We're not ready to use the Bastard Sword yet. It is a decent weapon. It's very slow, so you have to make sure that your enemy's guard is down when you're using it, and they're not gonna smack you before you can get an attack off, but it still has its uses. Either way, the Falchion is our best bet right now, so we're gonna stick with that. Okay, so got some bolts. It's ammo for crossbows, obviously. Down here, you'll see this message. It's not the best message to describe this, but more or less what they're trying to hint at is that this guy down here, he is a Red-Eye Knight, and Red-Eye Knights murder you if you try and attack them right off the bat. They're much more high-level enemies than anybody we've faced thus far, even more so than Blue-Eyed Knights, so trying to take them on is more or less suicide, unless you are very, very good at evading them. And even then, that one is actually a polearms user, so he can do a charging attack that hits you multiple times, and in doing so it can actually drain your fatigue so much that you can't block anymore, and he just goes on to eat up your health bar in like one shot. See, unlike the Blue-Eye Knight, which we can take care of pretty easily, that Red-Eye Knight will immortalize us. Anyways, throw all caution to the wind and just drop down off of that ledge, because you can actually get some stuff down here, including our first ranged weapon, this light crossbow. There's also a heavy crossbow, which is more effective in battle, but it's a lot slower, I guess, or it's a lot more heavy, a little bit more heavy, I guess. But yeah, basically crossbows, you load them up, shoot them, get hit by a fire bottle, finish killing this guy. There we go. And he has nothing to give us, so we'll just let him topple down. Alright, so backtracking just a little bit. We're gonna have to climb up here again. But yeah, that's the crossbow. I don't use the crossbow very much either. More than the crossbow, I'm really a bow and arrow kind of guy, mostly because the bow and arrow allows you to go into a first-person view, and that can be much better than having to use the lock-on mechanic in many cases, especially when you're fighting some things that require ranged weapons to defeat, like the dragons, for instance. Both of the dragons, there are two dragons, a red scale dragon and blue scale dragon. Both of them, in most cases, unless you're very good with your timing, and I mean very, very good with your timing, have to be fought with ranged weapons, be it magic or with bows, and crossbow isn't the best option. It does work to an extent, but it's not great. Anyways, we have some explosive barrels down here and guys with flaming swords. Put two and two together, and that guy just made a very stupid mistake. Sometimes this guy will actually catch up before the other one hits the barrels, and they'll both blow up in the explosion. You can actually do the same thing to yourself if you use a sword that uses a fire enchantment, or if you put turpentine on your weapon, which is more or less just a natural way of enchanting it. That guy just fell down the stairway there. Wasn't far enough down to die, though. This game is a little bit lenient with that aspect, you know, the whole falling to your doom thing, but if you fall too far, you'll be in pretty bad shape. Oh god! Hey there. Just try and explain things. Quit it. I'm having trouble pulling off my backstabs. Anyways, those two chains that we just broke, we're actually holding up those two corpses. Now that we've brought them down to the ground, we can pick up the items that they had on them. One of them's a sort of side quest related item. Hi, Yorda. Oh god. My cat is sniffing my face. And the other one is an armor set that only female characters can use, so... one of them is sort of useful, and the other one we don't really have a use for. Anyways, maybe I'll try and use that crossbow again on these guys, since there's so many of them. Oh yeah, that works pretty well. And that's why you don't want to get caught up in an assault by a lot of enemies. It's very bad news. Okay, that's one down. Let's get a second down. Another one fell off the stairs. I think he's still alive, though. I didn't see any souls come towards me. So, I'm just going to assume he's still living. He is still of the living. Anyways. He's so low on health. Oh god! I was going to say that I could just finish him off, but he kind of got caught beneath the stairs. I couldn't hit him with my falchion. That's another weird thing, is when you are fighting on the stairs, you can get yourself into some very bad situations. What you just heard there was another gun barrel, or gunpowder barrel explosion. I'm imagining they're filled with gunpowder or something like that. But yeah. These Draglings aren't all too smart. Their strategies range from hitting giant things of gunpowder with flaming swords to swinging wildly at nothing, which gives you a very nice vantage point to backstab them from. What we just got there was the Cling Ring. That is going to be invaluable to us whenever we're in soul form. What it does is it allows us to keep up to 75% of our health bar, as I mentioned before. I think you guys already know the deal with that. So yeah, we got the old ragged robes armor set thing, and we got the jade hair ornament, and we also have a little shortcut all the way up to that castle wall. So we'll just go on ahead back up this way. Whoa. Ragdolling like crazy, these people. That's another thing I love about this game, is the ragdoll physics. Sometimes people get caught on your legs, so you'll be running down a hallway with a guy just flailing madly. It's great. Like, they just become the weight of a feather as soon as they die. It's very silly. And sorry if the game's too dark. I may actually turn up the brightness once this video's done, so things are a little bit clearer for us. It is a very dark game, especially when we get to World 2. This is actually one of, I think, just 2 actually bright worlds in this game, so I'll definitely be wanting to change, you know, up the brightness setting on it. Anyways, we're at 19 minutes, so before we continue on into this first level of the outer walls of the Boletarian Palace, I'm going to cut it short. Next time, we will continue into the palace and hopefully get most of this level done. I expect this place to take us 3 videos. 2 videos getting through the level, then 1 video taking down the boss, so... Alright, see you then.